whitewashed, or have they been able to build the coping mechanism of code switching and assimilating into culture, which allots them with resources and opportunities that wouldn't be given to them if they had the stereotypical caricature in your head?
Nope. That's right.
What's up, y'all? What's good? What is sizzling? It is your favorite frustrated creative Sholay signing in for another video. Welcome back. How y'all doing? Thank you guys for tuning in for another video. Be sure to check out my social media platforms where I basically talk about the updates for YouTube, live streams, giveaways, and all that good stuff. So be sure to check it down below. If you're new to my channel, hi, hello, hola, my name is Sholay, and this is my creative entertainment channel where I post social, cultural, and movie commentary. Now let's jump into this video. Well, today we're going to be discussing the ideology behind code switching, the effects of assimilation, and the implications it can have for someone's future. In spaces where people of color are the visible minority, code switching can act as mixing of languages in conversation, and it could even go as far as changing the way you dress, changing the way you relate with other people, and allowing yourself to be more palatable to the people you're speaking to or you're around. This can be seen as a survival tactic, as many are in fear in the way they'll be perceived in those settings. But side note, this is not because we want to fit into white culture. We just want to survive. Okay, cohabitate. Cohabitat? Habitate? You know what I'm trying to say.
Bye, Bill.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, that was such a good meeting, you guys.
Wasn't it? It really was. I really appreciate the meeting.
Yeah, the meeting.
It was great. That was. At moments, it might have been a little disorganized.
And Bill, he's interesting, right?
Yeah, you know, Bill, he's kind of a hot ass mess.
Bitch! Oh my God. Ooh, it was bubbling my spirit. I couldn't.
So, girl, okay? Because I'm like, he don't even know what he be talking about.
He really don't know what he be talking about.
In the slang? It's the slang.
Oh
for me.
my God, this is the AAVE for me.
Okay. Okay, he coming.
Okay.
I've noticed as a content creator, the way that I convey myself in my videos also determine the kind of audiences that appeal to my certain kind of content. For instance, because of my quote-unquote clean accent, I appeal to a more white audience. But in the same breath, the way my accent is and the way that it comes in and out of my speech, the kind of things that I talk about, I appeal to a more black audience. Now, I have to realize that in the kind of money I'm making. In society, I've noticed that whenever you appeal to a more white audience, you tend to get advertiser dollars. You tend to make more bank because that's what advertisers feed more on. But in the same breath, when you appeal to a more black audience, you also have the ability to get more buzz, more notoriety. And I feel as content creators, that's how we kind of relate to workplace conversations. For some with natural accents, they can be perceived as uneducated, unprofessional, or even looked down upon to fill in certain job positions and make connections with other people. Having the ability to code switch does make your life easier, especially in work settings or places where you have to work with people. But to a certain degree, you're basically shelving a part of your personality, your identity, in order to be more accommodating to other people. It's so unfortunate that in this day and age, we're still worried about racial prejudice and microaggressions that we can possibly experience in the workplace. For some, it could be dialing back the way they speak so they're not perceived as angry or rude or disrespectful. And for others, it may be not wanting to be perceived as too feminine or too masculine in order to be around their bros. Yes, it's not just in the workplace, but you can basically do code switching anywhere and everywhere.
There's one thing you can expect from me, and that's the unexpected. 'Cause I'm an international super spy. Super spy!
As there are people who are born and brought up in suburbia, surrounded by gated communities and well-built schools, there seems to be a reoccurring pattern in the kind of compliments they get after a while. Being told that they're an eloquent speaker, having a clean accent, they're being able to convey themselves in ways that they've never seen before. Yeah, it gets to a point where someone who was born and brought up in suburbia you get too white for the black kids and too black for the white kids. So you try to maneuver yourself and trying to debunk this ideology within yourself that people are only going to view you as the black stereotype all the time until you start speaking. And I can't tell you how many times I've been called an Oreo by my own people until I learned how to speak in Ebonics, AAVE, if you will, immersing myself in BET and being able to just be, if that makes any sense. Being able to convey myself very nicely in front of teachers and students, but at the same time, I know how to get down, if you know what I'm saying. Also, I believe we need to speak on the way certain people are treated and the ridicule that comes with not knowing one's culture. At times, I've seen certain posts on social media where it would be kind of a cultural post or something that people are inherently supposed to know from that specific culture. But when there's that one person who doesn't know it, it's now, oh, we're revoking your card, or oh, are you really this certain ethnicity or this certain race? And I'm just like, you can't just sit here and say that. That's such a blanket statement. And then after you see like the despair in that person's face or their comment back, you see the hurt in their eyes. It's something that they probably have been battling with for so long, and now trying to relate and have some kind of culture is now difficult for them. And you could tell that that person just genuinely wants to know, especially since they're in that culture, but because of their upbringing, they don't know much.
I have a legitimate question. What do you guys wear bonnets for? Because like people say it's to protect their hair, but like how does it do that? I used to wear bonnets when I was younger, and I would wake up and my hair would be like all smushed up like this, or it would be like all flat to the side. Like if you had braids or dreads, wouldn't wearing a bonnet to bed just dent your hair? And if you wear wigs, well, actually, I don't know if people wear wigs to bed. Cause like I'll wear a bonnet under my beanie so that my hair doesn't get stuck in the fiber of the beanie, but other than that, I can't think of a practical use for bonnets. When I'm at home, my hair looks like this. When I go to sleep, my hair looks like this. When I have to quickly run to the store, my hair looks like this. Do bonnets actually help people's hair? Or like, is it just a comfort thing? I'm so confused. Hey, so I'm from Alaska. The black population there is like 5%. I've moved around a lot, and all the places I lived in were white neighborhoods. I never developed a relationship with my extended family because I moved around so much. Now, both my parents are black. My mom is a black woman, but she is classist as and she has a lot of anti-black views. Like, for example, she taught me that wearing a bonnet in public is ghetto. So obviously she's not the one I want to go to. And in my white neighborhoods, there were other black people, of course, but most of them rejected me because I was not black enough and I didn't have black interest and I didn't use AAVE and things of that nature. So that's how I grew up.
Blame my parents for that. Like, I believe they did a really good job in teaching me my culture and where I'm from and giving me a non-colonized name, which really makes me stick down to my roots. But in the same breath, there are parents who do it on purpose. And that's what I really wanted to add to this conversation. There are many people from various ethnic backgrounds who believe that they want to give their child a better opportunity in the workforce. They want to give their child the ability to talk and act in ways that will be able to create opportunity for them. So they strip them of the ability to know their culture, to have a name that is closely rooted with their culture and their identity. And it really stops them in the long run. So can we really say that the parents are really doing a good job here or a bad job here in the way they're raising their child? I mean, hey, I'm not a parent, but it makes me wonder for sure. For instance, my dad made it a huge deal to not give us a single colonialized name. Not one. Okay, maybe a title for me, but that was passed down by generations. I can't change that. But he really stuck it within ourselves that if you're not deep-rooted in your culture, you'll be swayed left and right because you won't really know where you're really from. And as an African child, that's a really big deal. And I know of people out here who, yes, they have colonial names, and that's not an issue, but not being able to speak your language, not being able to know where you're from. Your parents are basically stopping you from understanding your own dialect. All those things add to assimilating to a culture that's not really your own. And I'm really worried about the detrimental effects, because as a person who knows that once a generation doesn't know how to speak a language and the next generation doesn't know how to speak the language because nobody taught them, and then the next generation doesn't know how to speak the language or understand the culture because nobody taught them, then there's going to be an erasure of languages, an erasure of cultures. And that's what many African countries are dealing with now because of this colonial system of education, where it teaches people that the African languages that they actually have in their own countries come secondary to English. And if you put it secondary and the parents don't really speak the language because they believe that it will create an accent for the children, which could later stop opportunities for them later on, they don't end up learning the language. It ends up being second priority. And if they just speak English the whole entire time back home, where they're supposed to be learning their culture and their language, there's deeper issues with that. So for the kids who are born and brought up in certain African countries and they come here, or kids who are born here, the way they would go ahead to relate to their culture later on is going to be completely different to someone who was already immersed in their culture in the very beginning. And I've even heard some people having difficulty even code switching back when they've been surrounded by people who are nothing like them and don't have the same cultural differences. So it makes it difficult for them to keep the culture they had originally. Now, my issue with code switching or assimilation is the fact that it makes you feel as though that your own culture is not important. It makes it seem as though you have to put it to the side, like it's something that you just wear and take off. Your identity is not something that you can do that to, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm not saying that it's bad to be able to code switch, but my thing is, for how long? How long are we going to continue this behavior of feeling as though that, oh, I can't sound like this at work, so therefore I have to code switch. So therefore I have to change things about myself to be more palatable. To who? At the end of the day. Why do I have to change myself in order to get a good job? Why do I have to change myself in order to have certain opportunities and resources in life? That shouldn't be the norm at all. And I'm afraid that if we continue this ideology that code switching is necessary, we're going to get to a point where culture is not going to be something that's going to be important in workplaces. It's not going to be something that is magnified in our society because we got a code switch in order to get opportunities in this life. I can't give my child an ethnic name because it's going to mess up their chances in the workforce. I can't teach my child their language because it's going to mess up their accent. All those little things are indirectly signaling to your child or to the people around you that your culture should not be showing forth in your own personality. And I don't think that's something that we should be teaching one another. I do commend people who know how to code switch and be able to go from different mediums in order to convey themselves. However, I really feel as though we need to get to a point where we have a deep conversation on why we need to shelve parts of ourselves in order to be palatable in society. Alright y'all, that is the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. This is one of my shorter videos and everything like that. I might do a part 2 to this because I want to get more opinions. So that's why I didn't really say too much. But hopefully you guys enjoy my analysis, my thoughts, my ideas, and hopefully we can have a bigger conversation down the line. And my question for today is, what instrument do you play? And if you do not play an instrument, what is an instrument you wish you would have learned when you were younger? For me personally, I sorta-ish play piano, but I stopped when I was a bit younger. And I honestly wish I had the chance to either play drums or the sax. My little brother knows how to play the sax and he is mwah! And my little sister, she plays the violin. So yeah, let me know down below. Alright y'all, it is your favorite frustrated creative, Sholay, signing out of this video. And remember, God made you special and he loves you very much. And you can do anything you set your mind to, with Christ of course. Alright y'all, peace.
You know what I'm talking about? Bring it back.